a shot to do what?
Put it back in her face, and she didn't call me back. On this episode, we're going to do WNBA talk. The drama is the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark beef good or bad for the sport? NBA, NHL playoffs. We're down to the final four teams in both, so we'll do our predictions and kind of talk about what's going on there. And then, of course, as you can see by our garb, we will do some Yankees Mets stuff. And unfortunately, it is Bert who will be taking the victory lap on this round as we recap the Subway Series. So strap it on, folks. All that and more next. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. I'm the Facebook felon germ. That is the pretty Corey Burt. And we are presented by the Give Us a Shot Network, powered by Fast Break Coffee, and sponsored, as always, Burt, by the haters. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to the first timers and the last timers, the YouTube viewership, the podcast listenership, the social media ship. Please like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. I don't even care if you watch. And if you don't do any of those things, I will be inclined to think you are indeed a hater. Bert, what's up, man?
Good to see you. I know we took last week off. We had some shit going on, but since then, I feel like every time we take a week off, so much happens. And then I'm left pulling, like, you'll hear some of the good, bad, fugly. And I'm sitting there going, was that last week? Was that the week before? When was this? But hey, it was, good to get some rest in, good to take care of some things. And what better lead in to this week than a Subway Series matchup we had this weekend?
Yeah, and I was really excited about it. And of course, in true Mets fashion, I felt a lot like my wife when I pulled my pants down.
Yeah.
Disappointed. And sad and frustrated.
Yeah, on the verge of tears, actually.
On the verge of tears, crying, regretful.
Yeah.
And so here we are. And then it's not even that we lost, Bert. It's like, and you know me, I'm okay with my teams losing. Obviously, I don't think my teams are invincible. We win games, you lose games, but I do care how and in the manner in which we lose them. And specifically when it comes to the Mets and what you like to say are $765 million man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, of course, it's not just that we lost, it's that it came with some controversy. So we'll get into all that and more. But first, we will do the good, bad, and fugly 2-week edition. I think most of my stuff is from this week anyway, but I'll start with my good, Bert. My good is the Philadelphia Eagles, agreeing on a multi-year extension with head coach Nick Sirianni a couple days ago. Philly somehow found a man that encapsulates everything and every stereotype about people in the city of Philadelphia to be their head coach, and it worked. They won a Super Bowl, and then they wanted him fired, and now they're cheering him like he's the Pope. It's extremely pathetic from Philly fans who champion the best coach they've ever had since Andy Reid, but we're trying to fire him at different points of the season. It's good for Nick Sirianni, so the good is for him, who stood 10 toes down and delivered a title for Philly and took all that stuff in the chin. It's incredible because even after all this winning, he doesn't even get the credit he deserves because it's about Saquon Barkley or it's Jalen Hurts now, and Nick Sirianni is kind of the one who's been building this budding dynasty, if you will, in Philadelphia. And of course, I can't wait to see all the fire Nick Sirianni posts after an annual Week 4 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But for now, it'll be good.
My good, kind of a layup, to be honest with you. And I can't remember if it was last week or the week before, but the MLB announced that once you die, you are now eligible for Hall of Fame if there is any punishment against you. Of course, notably for us, and we've talked about it time and time again, we are just happy that Pete Rose is now eligible, and hope to God baseball writers do the right thing and vote him into the Hall of Fame, because anything else would be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Pete Rose, I mean, when it comes to Hall of Fame, well, okay. I will say up until the MLB started entering these partnerships with these betting entities,
Yeah.
I understand. I do. I don't agree, but I can understand the rule. But the moment you started opening the doors and having open relationships with betting entities and
Yep.
sponsorships, that shit is out the window to me. I don't
Yeah.
care. And we did talk about this before with Pete Rose when he died, that he's not a perfect victim, right? Like if he kept his mouth shut and didn't kind of complain about it for all those years, maybe this would have happened while he was alive. But we all knew this was going to happen the moment he died, and it's a lifetime ban. He's no longer alive. It's sad. It's understandable. It's sad and it's frustrating all at the same time. I think all those things can be true, and I agree. I think what did they say? Late this summer? When is it? No, it's later than that. When do they decide? I can't
Should
remember.
be
It's
coming up. I think inductions end up happening in August.
okay, so maybe in July sometime they'll deliberate and figure that out. But I hope they do the right thing. Will they do it the first outing that he's eligible? I don't know, but maybe I don't know why
I
they
mean, they
wouldn't.
should right the wrong, right? Let's see. I just timeline. It's thinking right now.
Yeah, these
Yeah,
chat
it'll come up.
GPTs.
It's
It'll
got to
come
be
up.
coming up soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Somebody else, if somebody knows.
Oh, late. So I was way off. Late November.
Okay, so there's a lot of time to think about it. Hopefully, doesn't need to be that much thinking to be done. My bad, Bert, is the NFL players will now be allowed to compete in flag football in the 2028 Olympics. And everybody's saying, like, wait, what? Why is this bad? I'll tell you, because I've been on a crusade, Bert, since Edwin Diaz tore his knee in the World Baseball Classic doing a little bunny hop celebration. The NFL is not only allowing, but they're encouraging active players to participate in flag football at these 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. Listen, Bert, it's all fun and games until the first ACL is blown. And it's a terrible decision. The NFL, and not even that, it's not even the selfish part of me that doesn't like that the professional NFL players are going to go play. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. I'm a veteran. I'm allowed to say this. Meaningless exhibition games. Because when they sit there and talk about the all-time greats, nobody talks about how many gold medals you have. When they bring up gold medals, when you're Carmelo Anthony and you have nothing else to show for your professional career.
Leave Melo alone.
He's the best example of it, though. He will go into the Hall of Fame, and it ain't because of his NBA career. It's going to be because of his college title and all his gold medals. And it's a DEI award. That's what it is. It's the award they just say when you have nothing else to show for your skills. And I'm tired of I'm telling you, the moment Josh Allen goes out there, and I don't think Josh Allen will play, but Philly fans will blow a gasket if Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley go out there and blow their knee out.
Yep.
And it's going to be over. And again, we're talking about 2028, so 3 years from now, maybe that's the perfect time for a player who's kind of aging out of the NFL to go do it. And if you want to make up the team of old veterans like Joe Flacco wants to go out there, I'm cool with it. But that ain't what's going to happen. It's going to be the 2028 version of Tyreek Hill, the 2028 version of whoever Lamar Jackson is in the NFL at that time is going to want to go over there because that's going to be the first time and they want to be a part of it. And it's going to be bad. Somebody will get hurt. And that's not even the worst part of it, Bert. The worst part is the NFL simply just killed the dream of hundreds of amateur flag football players and guaranteed that the USA will win every flag football game when they send the NFL players. But the people that have been playing flag football, remember Daryl Doucette? Remember that guy that said he was more skilled? Guys like him who have not only been doing this for this country for years, also in that same time frame have been fighting for flag football to be involved in the Olympics. And once it finally is, now the NFL is going to take it over and kick these guys to the curb. It's a bad look and it's a bad move all the way around.
We are so simpatico in the fact that is my bad as well. And when I saw that update today, the first thing I thought about, and look, we've championed the likes of world competitions, particularly for the NHL and what we just watched this past year. I'm all for NHLers playing in the Olympics, but I mean that just goes back to like same thing for you. I'm sure you want NBA players playing in the Olympics. I mean, how many years have we watched the NHL and NBA greats playing in these games? And it's important. These are world sports we're talking about at this point. They need to represent their country. But where I draw the line is flag football. If it was a full football game, I'd kind of understand. I would. You want to represent the sport that you play. But what I don't want to see, and as you mentioned, is I don't want to see the likes of a Josh Allen go in, twist his knee wrong, and then suddenly have some sort of ACL or MCL, or he tears his Achilles, or he tears any other L that's going on. And then all their fans have to watch him sit on the bench because he wanted to participate in flag football. And I'm trying not to knock the sport. I am, but the biggest thing for me, and another place my mind went, is you mentioned it, the amateur league that they have right now is so incredibly serious, and they have been growing it. They have been petitioned to get into the Olympics. They have an entire roster of guys that can step up and represent the USA. And now they're not going to get that chance to do so after working so hard to even getting it into the Olympics. And I can guarantee you, Germ, this is probably the first and only Olympics that will carry flag football, because it might not stay 4 years after that. So I think it's just bad all around. I guess I can understand why an NFL player would want to play flag football, but to the same point, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them just kind of brush off and being like, no, I'm good. Like, why do I need to spend my summer, doing that when I need to report to camp? But we'll see. I don't think this is good by any means. And I'm surprised owners passed it.
I'm a little shocked. And again, who's to say? I honestly hope that there's a compromise, and I hope they do involve the Daryl Doucettes and the people who have made flag football and been representing Team USA for years, winning their version of gold medals and their championships in their respective leagues. I really do hope they mix it up and give them a fair shot. I hope it's not all 100% NFL players. That would be terrible. My fugly Bert, in the realm of football still, Roger Goodell recently said that the NFL will indeed play 16 international games, probably within 5 years. This is garbage. Nobody wants it. And I'm assuming this is only the solution to that random home game that half the teams play, because we play a 17-game season. I'm assuming that this will just be everybody will play an international game. And it's greedy. It's disgusting. And you're talking about making the game more accessible to people overseas. Roger, how about we try making the game more accessible to Americans? Bert, did you see the graphic that said to watch every NFL game, consumers who would have to purchase all these streaming services, it would end up being about $1,500. It should be zero.
See that graphic, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, 2 years ago in the Dolphins, or was it not this past postseason, but the last year's playoffs, 2024 playoffs, when the Dolphins were in it, and I was furious because I didn't have, I don't know, Paramount or whatever it was streaming on. I had to borrow a login just to watch what should have been a nationally televised playoff game, which just goes to show. And then, of course, I have people, guys chirping me, which like, well, it's just $5 to sign up. It's like, that's not the point. I should be able to watch it with something else. But dude, I agree. At $1,500, I mean, yeah, it should be accessible to everybody here. Bring it to different parts of the U.S., different stadiums, smaller stadiums. I mean, shit, you play a Hall of Fame game in Canton. Why don't you do every team plays in Canton at least once? Give the people of Ohio something to watch.
My solution would be do all the preseason internationally. If that's what you want to do, and grow the game, because then the overseas people will see the NFL teams, and then you don't have to risk the star players, going over there, jet lag, all that stuff.
I don't mind a game or two, but to do 16 seems egregious. Did they say it wasn't all going to be in one location? Obviously, are they going to pick maybe four different locations and stick to just 4?
Basically, they'll take out of conference teams that have that random, like the extra home game or whatever, and then so I guess all the division games will still be here, and then those random, like the Bills play the Panthers this year. That could be an international game. Has nothing. They're in 2 different conferences. It would just be a random, and then the Panthers have the extra home game this year, so that would be an international game. That's how they would solve that.
I guess, but they've played Brazil, Mexico, London, Germany.
Well, okay,
Sweden
so
in there too. So like, are they going to stick to 4? Like, are they
nah,
going
they
to
would.
do
I would
Central
assume
America,
they're
South America, Europe? Like,
well. Okay, so Germany, Frankfurt is getting it this year. This is the first time it's been in Frankfurt. It's been in Belgium before.
yeah,
I can't remember the other city that it was in,
was
but
it in Munich?
Munich. That's where it was.
Yeah.
And so this will be the first year that it's in Frankfurt, right? So you would get maybe Germany does get 2 or 3 games because they have 2 or 3 places that you could play. Mexico has a couple places you could play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure Ireland is a big NFL place. You know, London obviously has plenty of places they can play. So I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll be in London a bunch. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be like, I doubt they're going to China or Japan, but like they would tap into
I wouldn't be
some of
surprised if
these.
they go to Spain, play
Right. You know what I'm
in
saying? Some
Madrid.
of these
Yeah.
places that do have an NFL presence. And if I guess a good starting point would look at the NFL Europe teams, that defunct NFL Europe, like where were those places? That's
Mm-hmm.
probably an easy start because it'll bring that nostalgia. Like, hey, remember the Rhine Fire? Like, come watch the Jags play the Giants. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably one of those things. Hall of Fame games are dumb. Yeah, I wish I wish the Hall of Fame game should be bigger than it is, and it's not. And I don't know how you fix it. I think I read a long time ago the best way to do the Hall of Fame game is do a rematch of the Super Bowl. Knowing that it's a preseason game and the star players aren't going to play, just kind of having that that in there. But if the NFL goes to 18 games, then there'll be 2 preseason games, and then stars will have to undoubtedly play at least a majority of one of those preseason games, right? So
one would
maybe
think.
that's you would. I mean, yeah, you would think, but maybe that's a solution. I have no idea. NFL with AGL, what's up, brother? What's the point of the Hall of Fame game, though? I think it's just honestly, it's just
It's a
to honor.
preseason game, yeah. But
Yeah.
they try to. I think they try to. Obviously, match up teams of the notable individuals that were just inducted. I've gone out there twice, once for Bill Parcells induction, and then Michael Strahan's. I think the Giants played in Parcells against Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. I forget who played when Strahan was inducted, but
I mean, in reality, it is just like, to me, it's like the tradition of the same teams who play on Thanksgiving, right? It's like the Lions always play the Cowboys. Like, I think it's just one of those. It's the annual start of the NFL, right? Like that's the official start of the NFL. The first preseason game, the Hall of Fame class was just inducted. Let's do it at the Canton, like you said, pay homage to the history of football, where football started, things like that. I and because it's a low risk, high reward thing, right? It's a preseason game. There's no pressure on it because that place can't handle a regular season game. Like just the pomp and circumstance that comes with a regular season NFL game. It's just not a big enough stadium. There's nothing around it to really, provide. So what do? You make it a Hall of Fame thing, first annual preseason game. I don't like that it's an extra preseason game for some of these teams or for the 2 teams that play. But I mean, I guess that's what it is. He said it makes sense. I never watch it. I tune in. I tune in for like the first little bit because it is that first taste of real football. But I quickly realized, like, I don't want to watch Skylar Thompson throw to like, whoever some bum 4th string receiver that's not going to play. That's not. I remember watching Nathan. I remember the Bills had one of those. Had to watch Nathan Peterman throw it to Robert Foster 16 times in the first quarter. I was only completing 3 of those passes. It wasn't my idea of fun. So I don't know. You got a fugly?
Yes. What is yours though?
Oh wait, what did I just do? Oh, I just piggybacked off.
This was the bad. This was the bad off the NFL.
No, my bad was the flag football. My fugly was the international games for Roger.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we're
I
on your
thought
fugly
that
now.
all
Yep.
strung together. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My fugly. We had a game 7 in the semifinals for the NHL, and my fugly has to go to the Toronto Maple Leafs effort in game 7 at home. And you figure game 5 was an absolute blowout. Although they got shots on goal, the Panthers just dismantled them 1-6-1. They go into Florida with a must-win game 6, shut them out 2-0, bringing it back home to where the Hockey Hall of Fame is, to where some call the foundation of the NHL of being in Toronto, and absolutely get destroyed. They had 20 shots on goal in a game 7, which is do or die. The last time you've been in this position, I mean, I don't even think you've been in a game 7 in the semifinals and God knows how long. And I just thought there would have been a little bit more effort, but it was just so roll over and die. It was tough for any hockey fan to watch who either didn't want the Panthers to advance or, was cheering for the Leafs in some capacity. Of course, if you hated the Leafs, then this was great to watch them absolutely, explode. But it was just, it was horrible. I mean, of course, credit to the Panthers, credit to their goaltending, and they have such depth. And I'm so looking forward to this matchup between your Canes and the Panthers. I think it's going to be a good one, hopefully. But man, it was just bad hockey. So now we're down to the final 4 teams in the NHL. But yeah, my fugly goes to the lackluster effort that is Toronto.
So on that,
yeah,
when it comes to the NHL playoffs, my Canes taking on the Panthers.
Yeah.
Stars and Oilers.
Yep.
Both matchups really exciting. Before we move on to them, whose loss do you think was bigger, the Winnipeg Jets or the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Man, I think the Maple Leafs was probably bigger. They had a well matched up team. I just think if you're going to drive at 7, I would have thought it would have been a little bit closer, to be honest with you, especially after I get it. I mean, you go down Stellars and your goaltending, you still held your own. You go up 2-0. Panthers crawl back in it. It was such a back and forth series. I think that's why it hurts a little bit more. The Jets, and as good as they are, and as good as Connor Hellebuck was in the first round in the regular season, it just looked like it weared on him a little bit. I mean, one of the top goaltenders, and I think a Vezina finalist this year, just was getting peppered with shots. And, look, I said it, although I had the Jets going after 7, I did say Dallas is a scrappy team. And not just that, is they're hungry and they're out to prove something, This is the 3rd consecutive Western Conference final that Dallas is advancing to. 2 years ago, they lost to the Golden Knights, who then went on to win the Stanley Cup against the Florida Panthers. Last year, they lost to the Edmonton Oilers that went on to take the Panthers 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. This year, they have a rematch against the Oilers. So, when I look at the series now in the West, after Dallas advanced from the Jets, and to answer your question, I think Toronto had a rougher loss. But I mean, looking forward in this conference final that starts tomorrow, I think for the Jets in Dallas, I honestly think this is the year Dallas crosses that hump. And as deep as Edmonton is, and as much as they have the firepower, I mean, honestly, it could go either way. I just think that Dallas is due. I think they're going to dig deep, and they want it so much more. And between the two, I think the Western is the one to watch. I do. I think it's going to be the more fun series. You have Dallas looking to prove something, and then you have Edmonton that wants to get right back. I mean, they came in within 1-2 goals of winning a Stanley Cup after crawling back from being down 3-0 in the series last year. I mean, that's what you got to remember. They won 3 straight to force a game 7. So the Oilers definitely want it. I think Dallas has the competitive edge because they're more gritty and they're tougher. They are. Oiler fans, I'm sorry, hate me all you want. Dallas is a scrappier and tougher team, and they're going to out-hit the Oilers 100%. I just hope that their scoring depth happens as much as, the likes of, Connor McDavid out there. And I mean, Leon Draisaitl. Take your pick. Edmonton is nasty in that sense, but I just think Dallas is going to beat them up. Now, jumping over to the East, yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm glad you said that. Say his name, Bert. Sebastian Aho, okay?
This is such a close matchup. We're talking about a team between the Panthers and the Hurricanes that are separated by 1 point in the regular season. What the biggest obstacle for the Hurricanes is going to be, because I think depth-wise, they have threats on all 4 lines from an offensive perspective. I would treat every line as a scoring threat on both teams. The competitive advantage has to go to Florida, and I'm sorry for this, but because they have a goaltender that has been there before and a good one too in Bobrovsky, it's going to be another scrappy matchup. We're talking about 2 teams that love to hit a little bit dirty too. So I'm excited to see what happens. I want to see the Hurricanes go. You know me, I don't like repeat winners unless it's my team. So I want to see new blood in there. I don't want to see Florida go back to it. I also, personally speaking, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Florida made the right moves at the trade deadline, bringing a guy like Brad Marchand, a veteran who has won the Stanley Cup before with Boston, into the lineup. But he's the league's agitator. You love to hate Brad Marchand, and if it's one thing I want, I do not want to see, or if it's one thing I don't want, I do not want to see Brad Marchand win another Stanley Cup. I don't, and I mean that in the best way possible because I respect him as a player and an agitator through and through. But I think Florida has the better goaltending. I think right now they are up 2-1 last time I checked. A lot of hockey left, though. They're not even halfway through the second period. But with that being said, Germ, the Hurricanes have something to prove, much like the Stars do. Since 2019, this is their fourth Eastern Conference final appearance. They have not won a game in an Eastern Conference final since I think 2009. It's insane to me. Did I say 2019? I think what I meant to say is 2009. No,
you said 2000. You
So
said 2009, but you meant 2019.
But let me go back. 2006 was the last Eastern Conference final where they won a game. They played Pittsburgh in 2009, lost 0-4. That was when Rod Brind'Amour was still playing for the team and he was the captain. All right. 2019 was the second year Rod Brind'Amour was the coach, the head coach, because he was the assistant for a while. 2019 against the Boston Bruins, lost 4-0. 2023, 2 years ago, lost to Florida, got swept. So Rod Brind'Amour as a head coach and his guys better be fired up because, I mean, with him at the helm, he has not won one Eastern Conference final game, not even a game. And I think if you're looking for small takeaways, I think you're looking just to get the first one under your belt and everything else to fall into play. I sincerely hope that they don't get swept again, because otherwise, I mean, geez, that's all they're going to be known for in itself. So in short, who do I have in the West? I have Dallas. Who do I have in the East? Sorry to say it, I have Florida. I do. But I think this goes 6, even 7 games.
So I do have Dallas as well, but I'm obviously going to go with the Canes here. And then I do have Dallas winning the whole thing in probably 6 games. But switching to NBA, just saw Minnesota star Anthony Edwards go to the locker room like in the first few minutes of the game. I can't see if he came back or not yet, but not good. The one thing I take it away from this NBA playoffs, Bert, is parity is back. Like, just we're going to have a new champion, 7 different champions in the last 7 years. It's like, you know, and then it's teams like it's Indiana, it's New York, the only major market team. You have Oklahoma City, and then you have Minnesota. So I know a lot of Knicks fans, just by geography of where we live, are rooting for New York.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. I think New York and OKC would be a better finals. But I think matchups matter in basketball a lot. And I think New York matches up terribly with Indiana. I think Indiana is going to go to the finals. And I'm not saying that as a bitter Sixers fan and that doesn't want to see New York or Boston succeed, but because I am a fan of Jalen Brunson. I may not like everybody. I don't like Josh Hart. Mikal Bridges is a Philly native. I'm all about Mikal Bridges. I like Jalen Brunson. I wish Tyrese Maxey was more like Jalen Brunson. Tyrese is too goofy. I wish we had somebody like Jalen Brunson that would serve us a lot better. But you know, the Knicks and the Thunder to me would be better, but the firepower, the defense, the rebounding that Indiana possesses, I think is going to be too much for New York. I do think Oklahoma City is, at this point, has to be the favorite over, because they just defeated Denver, who everybody had going to the NBA Finals. So I like Anthony Edwards. He's my favorite player playing right now, but that team is too turnover prone. And OKC capitalizes on turnovers better than any other team on the league, in the league. So I don't give Minnesota that much of a chance. So I have the Pacers winning in 7 games. I have the Thunder winning in 6 games. And then I have the Thunder beating the Pacers in 5 games. So I do think the Thunder are going to win. I do think SGA Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be Finals MVP, and I think it'll be a fun, exciting, conference finals, and I think it'll be a kind of fun to watch finals. I think the finals are going to be lackluster compared to the rest of the playoffs. And I do think this playoffs overall has been great, considering that we've had a lot of major injuries to a lot of major stars, and things haven't really panned out for like the Bucks, who may lose their biggest star, and then obviously the Sixers losing basically their entire season in the first month of the season with Joel Embiid being hurt, and then Paul George can't stop podcasting. Their rookie can't stop painting his nails, and of course he broke his knees, and it's just terrible luck that the Sixers have. And then we couldn't even get the number. We couldn't even tank correctly and couldn't secure the number 1 pick in the draft to get Cooper Flagg. So we should absolutely trade that number 3 pick, because I couldn't tell you another player in this draft. So other than that,
who is that? Who is that bum that was complaining that one day in between games wasn't enough rest after the loss on Sunday? I saw it real quick. I think I was working out, and I don't know if it was SportsCenter or something in the background, and I remember seeing, and look, I'm all for athletes getting appropriate rest, but we're talking about playoffs. We're talking about basketball. I mean, I don't understand what the extra day is going to do. And I get he was saying it in relation to a travel day, but like, this is your job. Yeah. And if you're not competing at the highest, okay, I was gonna say, if you're not competing at the highest level, like, you better change your routine and leave it all out there. That's just my opinion. But you got to understand, I'm obviously a big hockey guy, but I mean, grew up watching the likes of Jordan and Kobe, and you never see them complain about having only one day in between like playoff games. This is why you play. If you don't, if you're not amped up and ready to go, like leave it all out there. That's my take on it.
100% agree with you. So hopefully we get a good finals out of it. Aaron Gordon of the Denver Nuggets, I get it. Understandably, you guys were favored to win the entire thing, and you got injured, and you're going to blame travel. And I agree, and I live by the motto: you don't like your job, quit. Plain as that, man. Like, shit happens. It's a shitty day. You lost. Speaking of shitty day,
yeah,
this Angel Reese-Caitlin Clark thing has taken a life of its own.
Yeah.
The Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, first we want to give flowers, Bert, broke the record for most viewed regular season game at 2.7 million viewers.
A week into the season, right? Or 2 weeks into the season?
Yeah, and more than the Yankees and Mets game that had Juan Soto returning to New York. Well, not returning to the Bronx. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and so, like, that is amazing for the game, and it is strictly off the back. And again, we know the statistics. We know that Caitlin Clark is the needle mover for the WNBA, but her rivalry, if that's what you want to call it, this thing she has with Angel Reese, is a totally different thing.
Yeah.
And the reaction I get, full disclosure, me and Bert are not WNBA people by any stretch.
No.
I don't know the sport. I don't know the history.
We haven't been watching it a long time.
Not a long time at all. I know I'm a casual fan, and I'm being generous with that phrase for me. I have watched other games that didn't involve these two players. I found some of them, just like I do with the NBA. Some of them are boring. Some of them are really exciting. But I'm not going to sit there and pretend I know the ins and outs of the WNBA. The other thing I won't tolerate is the 12 dudes that were watching the WNBA before sit on their fucking high horse and tell me that I'm not allowed to have an opinion about this. I like Caitlin Clark. She's exciting. And I'm not the only one that feels that way, based on jersey sales and based on ratings and based on exposure and all the other analytics you want to say. There was a foul in the big story outside of the 35-point blowout and the fact that Caitlin Clark is now 5-1 versus Angel Reese in the pros. But it's okay, because all the old fucking cape wearing simps out there will tell you that Angel Reese has a college title. Like, that fucking matters. They're in the pros now. Who cares? It's gonna that little argument will go out the window the moment Caitlin Clark wins the WNBA title before Angel Reese. That's all I'm gonna say. But the funny thing, and I posted at the Stuff About Sports Instagram page. there was a hard foul that Caitlin Clark put on Angel Reese. Angel Reese got up and started bowing up and talking shit and what the hell are you doing? And, all this talking crazy. The funny thing is, this happened immediately after Angel Reese shoves with two hands a teammate to get a rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just find it funny that this has turned into yet again a racism thing, which I'm not scared to say. Most things, there is a racial component to it because people come from different cultures. I understand the Angel Reese defenders. I understand the Caitlin Clark supporters. I get it. But here's the problem I have. Angel Reese needs to be a hell of a lot better than she is if we want this rivalry to have the impact we think it does. When we talk about Bird and Magic, Caitlin Clark is way closer to Bird than Angel Reese is as close to Magic. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like it has to match. And you can't live off of the college stuff forever. Like at some point, how your hype is perceived has to match the attention we're giving you. And listen, Caitlin Clark is famous for balling. Angel Reese is famous for other things. And she's an elite rebounder. I'm not taking that away from her. But Caitlin Clark is generational, and Reese likes to portray herself as generational. I'm telling you, Bert, as a casual fan, I know Angel Reese for more off-court stuff than I do on-court stuff. And it's opposite for Caitlin Clark. And I think that's the best, nicest possible way I can put it without sounding like, I don't know. I don't want to say a hater. I call it like I see it, man. Like I don't understand why people have a hard time seeing that. Like they go out of their way to defend Angel Reese. And on Angel Reese's side, I do understand her entire basketball side, not what she does off the court, but her entire legacy when it comes to basketball are the double doubles, the rebounds, but it's still largely attached. She's the remora fish on the Caitlin Clark shark. You know what I mean? Like
I do.
And whether that's fair or not, it is what it is. And I can understand why she is upset, because every time they talk to her about anything she's doing, she's constantly getting compared to Caitlin Clark. But to me, that's her fault.
Well, she's going to no matter what, right? Same
right.
draft class. She has the national championship. Didn't they play each other in the final? Was it the finals or was it semifinals?
Semifinals. And Caitlin Clark beat her one time, and then they won after that. Yeah.
So I think going into it, I mean, the hype of both of them, and don't get me wrong, Angel Reese was an integral player in college.
Mm-hmm.
And heading into the draft, though, the hype was always Caitlin Clark. There was always going to be that dynamic of them two up against each other from draft to even when they play now too. I understand your comparison between Magic and Bird, and if we want this rivalry to last, she's going to have to up her game. I get that. I think it's a fair point, and anybody can look at the numbers and say so. But I do appreciate, and this again, casual fans, this could just be how she plays, or if she's truly leaning into it. But after that flagrant, I would have expected her or any baller to step up and at least go back and not take it. Like, I get it. It was a basketball foul. It was a basketball play. Yeah. But for her to just get up, dust it off, and look the other way, no, I want that intensity. I think it's good for the rivalry. I think it's good for the ratings. I think Angel should really lean into this as being a competitor and just constantly going back and forth between her and Caitlin Clark. That's what I want to see. I think this is great for the sport. I appreciate your obviously calling it out in the fact that this is turning into a race issue every time it comes up, because it is. You didn't need to say it. You also don't need, I know you will always say it and call it like it is, but look at any other platform that's out there, whether it's national or whether it's Twitter or X, everybody will have a different take on it. For me, I just think this is great for the sport. This is what's going to get more eyeballs into the sport, and having more rivalries like this. And to your point, and as I mentioned before, if there's going to be longevity with this particular rivalry, then both ends have to meet somewhere and get better along the way. And we know Caitlin Clark, and as you mentioned, is generational talent. There's no denying it whatsoever. I just want to sit back and honestly watch them play every single day. Like if they're going to bring that intensity a game a week into a season, I want to see it when it's game 7 and they're in the semis or they're in the championship game. Like I want to see this continue through and through. I think this is nothing but good for the sport.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, oh, this is not good for the sport. And I said, how
is it not?
How is it not? People are talking about your sport. The WNBA is not the NBA. You want to talk about a league that was fighting for its TV broadcasting life just a few before Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese got there. I'm not going to say it's just Caitlin Clark. I will say Caitlin Clark is a large piece of the pie, but there are a flux of talented young ladies. There's one right now in Dallas, Paige Beckers. And if Angel Reese don't step it up, this rivalry that we want Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark to have, it's going to be between Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers because that girl is nasty. I think she's like has the third person ever in WNBA history to have 20, 10, and 10 in their first 3 games. I think Sabrina Ionescu did it, and the other name's escaping me right now. But it doesn't matter. Like you're talking about history out the gate for some of these young ladies, and Angel Reese is so concerned about how she's viewed by other people, which brings me to Ryan Clark and RG3.
I'm not familiar with this. I didn't look into this today. So break it down for me. What happened?
Basically, RG3 said what I said last year. Remember when I said that, Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Mm-hmm. Like she's jealous. And I got destroyed by certain people over that. And I said, that's not my opinion. Look at her. Look at her body language. RG3 basically said as much. She not only hates her because Angel Reese thinks she should be as popular or more popular.
Well, she said it herself.
And she has said it herself.
Yeah.
But I think she feels like Caitlin Clark is getting, or she should feel she should get the same amount of attention as Caitlin Clark or whatever it is. But I think she resents that Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA. And Angel Reese doesn't like that. Maybe Angel Reese doesn't care that it's not her. I think she cares more that it's Caitlin Clark over anybody. And RG3 kind of pointed that out. Ryan Clark basically said, you're not allowed to talk about it because you married a white woman. And RG3, which is crazy. Like what are you talking about? And I'm not an RG. Trust me, I don't like RG3 either. I think RG3 says dumb shit all the time. But this wasn't one of those things. I don't know if I'd agreed with exactly what he said, but I understood what he was saying, and I don't think he was saying anything crazy. But Ryan Clark coming out to say that to me was extremely out of bounds. And it makes it even funnier because I'm pretty sure Ryan Clark has a child with a white woman, from his NFL playing days, like early days. So, but the fact that they're beefing is hilarious because they're two unlikable entities in sports. And it became a thing where Ryan Clark then exposed, hey, you sucked at ESPN as a broadcaster. You were a terrible teammate in the NFL. You were terrible at ESPN as a teammate. Nobody likes you. You're phony. A bunch of other stuff. It all stemmed because Ryan Clark brought a guest on his show that he knew that Ryan didn't like, and they talked about Ryan Clark. And Ryan Clark, which understandably,
RG3 brought the guest that he knew
he knew that Ryan Clark didn't like, and they talked. And so Ryan Clark came out and said, or RG3 came out and said, there's a line you don't cross in life, and Ryan Clark crossed it. Ryan Clark didn't like my take on Angel Reese hating on Clark or hating Caitlin Clark, and that's fine. Disagreement is part of the game, but instead of debating my point, he personally attacked me and my family. That shows how low of a person he is. I gave a sports opinion. I said Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark based on repeated visible actions on the court and in press conferences, which is true. I backed it up with 5 separate examples from the game of basketball because that's what I do. I analyze sports, and I stayed in the arena. Just because Angel Reese is black doesn't mean that her game and actions can't be critiqued. A black man or woman is not restricted from giving a sports opinion on other black men or women just because you don't like it. Everybody can give an opinion no matter what color they are. I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. I'm trying to find Ryan Clark's comments, but they're both weirdos, man. Like at the end of the day, they're both. It's one of those things where they're both right and they're both wrong. Like Ryan Clark, I understand what you're saying. Like it is strange to hear a guy who, if you feel that way, you see a black man married to a white woman and you're critiquing black women. Like I don't know, man. Like I understand why you feel that way, but that shouldn't have been part of your rebuttal to him over the tape. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
not.
that just
It's not valid. I mean, for
it
him,
doesn't have anything
for
to
him,
do with it.
correct. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, well, because you did this in your personal life, your opinion on all things that might be associated with race is obsolete. As if RG3 doesn't experience any type of, bias or racism. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Out of line comments. It's just incredibly messed up. I mean, classy for RG3 to respond. Obviously, this beef goes deeper, as you just explained. And I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to Ryan Clark. I'm assuming nothing.
Probably nothing. Ryan Clark says, if you're RG3, he said this on the pivot. This is a quote from the pivot. If you're RG3, when's the last time within your household you've had a conversation about what Angel Reese is dealing with? You haven't been able to do that because in both your marriage, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they see, and what they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck and doing his whole piece, his wife is in the background amening and clapping. When I worked with RG3, he would make all these sorts of corny jokes about milk and how much he loved it and how important it was. And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's white skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I met the lady. I've had conversations with her. I think she's more than that. But it leads to what black women deal with from a lot of black men who have chosen to date and marry outside of their race. They always feel like they have to go the extra mile to prop up that woman that they're married to, or when the women that they're with over black women by denigrating black women. I don't know, man. Like,
Was he denigrating though? I don't
think he
don't
was.
know.
I didn't see the context of RG3. I saw the criticism. I don't watch RG3's show. I just read the quote, and it could be out of context.
Yeah.
But also understanding, because it's what we do here, Bert.
Yeah.
He has to entertain. So, but there is an obvious disdain that Ryan Clark has for RG3. That to me, it doesn't matter what RG3 said or how he said it. That he
just said something. He could have mumbled something in that direction, and Ryan Clark might have went off on him.
But the problem with this message is the messenger. Ryan Clark has a history of what I will say bias towards the black athlete, which I completely understand. It's your platform. You have the voice. You're on ESPN. You have the pivot. If you want to make excuses or tailor your argument in support of whatever you want to support, that is your right to do. However, don't get offended by the criticism that may come your way from that. Like when you draw a line in the sand, you can't be mad when people start kicking dirt on that line. You know what I mean? Like it's say what you want to say. I do it all the time. Like it's
we know.
and it's fine. It's because I want the conversation. It's cool with me. Like it's you can call me any name in the book. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I don't give a shit. But what Ryan did was a black look. I was going to say a black look is a bad look. Angel Reese clearly overreacted to the foul. Defending the overreaction while trying to diminish RG3's reaction by calling attention to who he's married to is nasty. Period. RG3, if he was trying to make his point and basically as a black man did it in like quote unquote blackface, and I think we all know what we mean, like kind of imitating a caricature of a black woman, that is also wrong. But RG3, from what I have seen, did have valid reasons to kind of back up what his claim was. So all that to say, this is great for WNBA to me. Like you have
keep it going. Yeah.
I get that for the hardcore WNBA fans, this kind of
And for the record, Germ's not saying racism is great for the WNBA.
No,
For
no, no,
anybody
no.
who
Oh
might
yeah, my
interpret it
bad.
that
Yeah,
way,
yeah, my
he
bad.
is saying that the that the whole world watching the rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is good. I just want to clarify, like
Yeah.
that comment was, that whole session was just about what happened between RG3 and Ryan Clark. We're not bringing it back around by saying we want more of that dialogue, but we do want more of this rivalry.
Um. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. No, racism is never good for anything. It's
No,
not.
no.
You should be able to look at a situation regardless of color while acknowledging, yeah, I'm sure. Again, I said at the beginning, unfortunately, with everything, race will be a part of it because people just come with race comes culture, and people just come from different cultures, different thought processes,
Mhm.
whatever. But if you can't be objective about of all things sports, then you really shouldn't be talking about it. And this is great for the sport because rivalries fuel growth. It happened when the 70s were terrible. And in the 80s, Bird and Magic came. There was a race component there. The advantage that Angel Reese has was Magic Johnson wasn't exactly allowed to be as boisterous as Angel Reese is allowed to be, just based on the time period that he was in, right? Like it was the 80s. Like black people weren't really out of the woods all that, much when it comes to how they act and how they are. Magic gets away with it because he's a famous basketball player and he played for the Lakers. So if you watch that documentary, you would see exactly what Magic kind of still had to deal with being who he was. And so it's good for the sport because you have two high profile people in sports talking about your game.
Yeah.
And my issue with a lot of these hardcore female basketball analysts and people, I got a guy from CBS Sports calling me an asshole over my Angel Reese stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't be talking about it either way. Why are you talking about this? There's plenty of other things happening in the WNBA. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Go ahead and talk about them. This is the most interesting thing happening.
Man, that guy must be so exhausting commenting on everybody else who's talking about this.
I
Like,
know.
I mean,
yeah, it's
like
insane.
we get it. Like as you mentioned in your comment, put your cape away. We're okay,
People tune into the soap opera.
Oh yeah.
And they do it in all sports. People tune in. The Bills and the Chiefs had the highest playoff game rated ever because the soap opera between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and can the Bills get over the hump? Spoiler alert, they didn't. And, in all sports, we do it for rivalries. They tuned into the Mets Yankees because of Juan Soto going back to the Bronx. The thing with Aaron Judge, that whole, like, people will tune into the soap opera. The problem with it is the WNBA doesn't have the elite athleticism that the NBA does to carry their sport outside of the storylines. People will just watch the highest levels. There are elite talents in the WNBA, but they're not at a point in growth in what the NBA or a lot of the other major sports are. They're on the way, obviously, like based on just data, but they're not there yet. So what people are tuning in, specifically casual fans, is the soap opera, are the storylines. That's what's going to keep us engaged in it because women's basketball, because we have the parallel to men's basketball, isn't as elite in terms of the athleticism, what the women can do. For example, the dunks. Like, I'm not saying that we should lower the rims. I'm saying people aren't going to watch a bunch of layups generally, but they'll watch Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese go at it and throw each other to the ground and do a bunch of other things. And again, I'm talking about casual fans only. I'm talking about people who are flipping the channel on Saturday afternoon and have nothing else to watch. They're going to tune in for the players, the storylines. They're not really tuning in for the basketball, not until it gets to, playoff time and things of that nature. But, you have the New York Liberty who are going for a repeat. New York's a major market. That's a storyline people will pay attention to. Dallas, Paige Beckers, like the people like her, and they're going to pay attention to Dallas on a quest for the ring. The Minnesota Lynx could have made history. They had a terrible playoff loss. People are going to tune into them because they're one of the best teams in the league. So all that is all storyline based. That's not really basketball based, right? Like, it's so for the WNBA, the storylines are really good. And just because you're tired of the race stuff or you're tired of this, you're tired of that, honestly, is not relevant. 2.7 million people tuned in. and to a 35-point blowout. And it's because of those two players. It's because of their story. It's because of that soap opera. And honestly, the WNBA needs to capitalize on it. I throw that shit on every graphic, every social media thing. I mean, every chance I get, I'd be blowing that thing up. So hopefully they keep it going.
Oh yeah, they will.
All right, Bert, fuck it, man. just
we don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
I mean, just go. No, it's your time to shine. I won't be spending any time on it. We saw what happened. You go. It's your turn to gloat because we know damn well if the Mets won the Subway Series, I'd be gloating. I will tell you,
100%. But I think we can agree on one thing that this is what's good for New York baseball specifically, and we had the players talk about it. Players talk about the feelings. I think if you look at the games, each one of them was close. It didn't bust completely open on Friday or Sunday night until late into the games. And that pitching was dominant on both sides too. I think it was competitive. I think from a gloating standpoint, and this is where I'll get on my shit, we were able to shut down your top three guys. Yeah. And in that took out your entire lineup. Our pitching was, I don't want to say elite because it wasn't elite, but it was great. Max, I will say, Fried on Sunday night was nasty. He was 8 strikeouts through 6. I mean, it was incredible. And as a Yankee fan, I think watching the failure of Juan Soto and the lackluster effort that he gave was just icing on the cake. And I will continue to hate on him for the next 15 years. I think I have every right to do so. And for anybody out there that's commenting of like, oh, the Yankees only had him a season, I don't understand why you're so butthurt about it. Oh, it was this. It's like, because it was a money decision and we feel hurt by it. And we're allowed to, but also we're allowed to turn our backs if we want to. Yeah. We're allowed to boo him every time he gets up to the plate. I will never understand why baseball fans or sport fans are just like, well, it's dumb. You shouldn't be doing that. It's like, shut up. This is what sports fans live for. You were just talking about the soap opera, about the WNBA. This is exactly what sports fans live for. We want the storyline behind the competition. We do 100% of the time. It's always going to be good. So yeah, we want a little hate thrown in there because two things are going to happen. One, if he fails like he did throughout this series, it's sweeter for our team. However, Germ, if he had a fuck you game on Sunday after us turning our backs to him on Friday night and having, a loss on Saturday, it would have made for a great storyline, great headlines. Oh, Yankee fans turn their back on him. Soto blasts ones over their head. Like this is exactly what we want in baseball, not just New York baseball in its entirety. We want these rivalries. I mean, shit. Met fans, we had to hear you guys bitch and complain about Chase Utley every single time he was up to bat because of one little play that happened against the Mets. And here we are. So to tell us we can't boo Juan Soto or turn our backs to him is just absolutely ridiculous. But Germ, let me reel it back. It was a good weekend for New York baseball. Yeah. We still have one more series against you later on in Queens. So anything can happen there. I will say, as a Met fan, though, and I want your take on it. One, you did just lose again tonight against Boston. This actually marks the first time you have had a 3-game losing streak this season, which I think is impressive, to say the least. But also, is there any concern in knowing that if your top 3 don't produce, is that it for the team? But also, yesterday morning and even in today, there's a lot of whispers and a lot of talks, and I get much of it is sensationalized by the mainstream media. But you as a Met fan, are you okay with the effort, or at least perceived effort, that Juan Soto gave on Sunday?
So, no, not really. Like when you're hitting in Fenway, you got to know that green monster. I heard the excuse. He thought it was going to go up, but honestly, man, like you can't count on that.
No, that was a day after, not leaving the box quick enough on Sunday for that out that LeMahieu got on him first. It could have been, honestly, it could have been a single. So
I will say, I don't know. I will say, though, recently, he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself.
No,
like it's just
he ducked reporters Sunday night. Yeah, he was like,
crazy.
I'm out.
It's crazy. And come to find out, I think the reporters were told like he's trying to downplay this Yankees thing. I think he was tired of all the Aaron Judge questions. And I think Buster Olney basically was like, yeah, we're going to ask you some Aaron Judge questions. And he was like, all right, I'm not doing that. And so I don't know. The frustration of losing and the criticism probably got to him. Not a great moment. I'm not going to say I'm worried. We are early in the season, and I hate you saying that as an excuse. But in the weekend where everything revolved around Juan Soto and being back in the Bronx, the irony didn't slip me that Cody Bellinger and Max Fried, Devin Williams, Goldschmidt, basically winning the entire Subway Series for you guys is incredible.
Well, I mean, the two bats we went out and got to replace Juan Soto was Goldschmidt and Bellinger.
Yep.
And with the addition of Max Fried over the summer too, and particularly because Cole's out for the season as well, we know our pitching is not as deep as it could have been. But I think there was something poetic in the fact about, you know, the two guys getting it done that we needed to replace the one bat in the lineup. You know, certainly is a story in itself. And look, and we've talked to Aaron Judge time and time again. He still continues to be the best hitter in baseball. 400 average, doing it again tonight with another home run too in Texas. So he continues to have a remarkable season as well. But I mean, look, you have to give credit where credit due. You have to see this series proof. You have to see it for what it is. The Mets, certainly not unbeatable. And the Yankees, I mean, are a tough team just as much. I think, you know, when we hear the chatter between our fan bases, a lot of Met fans thought that they were just going to steamroll us. And you had every right to think that, right? I mean, your 1, 2, 3 in baseball was the nastiest like combo leading into that game and still is, right? I mean, nothing against Alonso and Lindor. I mean, Pete was 2 for 12 with 1 RBI over the series. Lindor was 1 for 12 with 1 RBI. So, I mean, still productive, but you wanted to see more out of him. I think Sunday's game definitely hurt. We had all 3 go 0 for 4, you know? So yeah, you're not concerned. I'm not concerned. A lot of season left, a lot that can happen, a long season too. But this, I think, was like the first taste of competitive baseball.
Yeah.
Not just back in New York. Cause I mean, there was a time between our two franchises where it was like, hey, Subway Series. All right, cool. Maybe I'll watch. But no, this actually means something again in New York, which is great.
It did. I did find it interesting that the happiest I've seen him look in recent memory is when he was pregame with some of his Yankees teammates and with Aaron.
They're saying too, yeah. It was nice to see them joke around and stuff. And I mean, I get it. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, and you know they mic'd up Brandon Nimmo, who was answering some questions, and you know he was saying how great it is for the city of New York. I have an issue with micing up players. This isn't a Nimmo thing. This isn't a Mets Yankees thing. I don't want to hear commentary into the booth during a regular season game. Do that shit in all-star games. Like, I don't need you, like one of our players answering questions while they're trying to play the ball. And I get it. It's mostly outfielders, but still, like, save that shit in between innings. I don't get it. But look, all the players, they tend to be joking around in between innings. Everybody's having a good time. They love the competitive nature. For us as fans, though, you know, we were grinding our teeth all the way through, especially Sunday's game when it's locked in. Man.
All right. We'll get you next time. I just want to
right, at least for one game, and then we'll take the other two.
Yeah, really, hopefully. You know what's funny? Buck Showalter benched Jeff McNeil one time because he was throwing temper tantrums for like 2 or 3 games. I wonder if Mendoza will have the nuts to sit Juan Soto down. Probably not, but no. I think it'd be pretty funny if he did. So that'd be awesome. Bert, you have a game ball you want to give out?
Yeah, Cody Bellinger actually for hitting that grand slam Sunday night. Yeah. It was too perfect. But yeah, that's my game ball.
Awesome. Game ball. I actually don't have one prepared. Really, happy birthday, Carl Powers. He's behind the scenes at the network. So, Mike sent a video. Peyton, I can't really tell because I have an Android and it's all blurry, but she made a really good baseball play.
Yeah, hit down the third base line, got a single.
See, look at that. See, contact. All you gotta do is put the ball in play, and good things will happen to you.
Yeah, make contact, run it out.
Oh shoot! Game ball to Shador and Shiloh Sanders both inked contracts with their respective teams. Shador got a 4-year, $4.6 million contract from Cleveland. The news did come out that apparently him and Joe Flacco will split third team reps. I don't know, out of OTAs. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Honestly, I think that's a good thing. I know a lot of
That's a good
fans.
thing. Yeah.
I think that shows that the team is confident in those two, and they need to see more of Dylan or Kenny to figure out which one of those two guys are going to cut and or trade. People read too much into Shedeur getting third team reps. I was like, he's splitting with Joe Flacco. If Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett were getting first and second team reps, and Shedeur was fighting with Dylan Gabriel for third team reps, then I would understand the concern. But I think we're all of the understanding that Flacco is going to start, and so the fact that Shedeur is splitting those with Joe, to me, vies well. I think early on in OTAs, they're trying to figure out who they're going to keep between Pickett and Gabriel, so they're giving them every opportunity to showcase what they got. Shiloh also completed his master's degree in organizational leadership at Colorado, so that's a nice little thing. And of course, his 3-year, $3 million contract he signed with the Bucks. So very happy for the Sanders boys. So my game ball will go to them. Bert, this was fun, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got back into it. Got the new digs. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff at Stuff About Sports on the Instagram, at Give Us a Shot Network on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook. Me and Bert will be back next week, hopefully with some I don't know if there's a sweep. Now they can't play 4 games by the time we come back next week. Maybe they will. I don't know. We'll see.
Hockey?
That's for both hockey and basketball.
No,
Yeah, hockey's it's like every 2 days, right?
No, they should do every other unless there's a conflict.
I got you.
Like even their travel day, they'll do every other because they're close enough. So, but game 4 is next Monday.
Oh shoot! So we could.
So it might be depending on how it goes. They just dropped game 1, so we'll see.
Yeah, if not, we'll talk about some other shit. I'm sure Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese will fight again before the next show. So we'll talk about that. Make sure you follow and all that good stuff. Take care of each other. Be happy. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.